This lesson is about the research process. When you start research, you can look at the two phases of research. One is how to perform research, and this concerns research process. And the other one is how to write about what you're doing, and this is your research report or your thesis. These two phases are connected to each other and cannot exist without each other. The research process has a lot of building blocks. You will see that during the research you will have to define the problem, the aim of your research, objectives, then by the end write the report, write about ethics of your research, and so on. However, all the pieces of the research must fit together. You cannot change one without changing the other, and you should always have all necessary pieces. Research is a series of activities that are connected one to another. Often these activities are referred to as research process. They are performed in a particular order. However, at many instances, there is going back from one activity to another, and then again going to the activities for the second or for the third time. Because of this, we usually refer to something that's called iterative view of the research process. So let's go and see how this iterative view looks like. The first step is selecting the topic. And this step is closely connected with reviewing the literature. So you can select some topic, look at the literature, and not being sure about it, go back, maybe slightly change the topic, and these two steps are actually intervening with one with another. The same is happening with the second and the third step, which are the reviewing the literature and finding a problem or a research question. Once you are done with your problem and you have formulated your research question, then you can proceed with the fourth step, which is determining the scope, the assumptions, and the limitations. After this is done, you still need to read relevant literature. Why? Because you need to develop theoretical and conceptual frameworks or models for your research. So during this process, once again, you have interaction between reading relevant literature and finding your model that you will use to base your research on. After you're done with it, comes your research design. You now know the theoretical model, you know the research question, and now based on this, you can select the approach or the research strategy you will use. Once this is done, you can select the data collection method and then select the data analysis method. Because at this point, when you define your data collection method, you can envision what kind of data you will obtain. Therefore, you can also select the data analysis method. And of course, during the data collection, there might be some ethical concerns or ethical issues that you need to address. Once you have defined your methods, you proceed with collecting the data. During this process you may, but you may not need the literature. Once you have collected your data, the analysis needs to be performed so that you can extract the results from the data collected. Doing the analysis sometimes is connected to the next step, extracting the results. Sometimes the analysis does not give you the results, so you have to go and check whether the analysis was done well, whether some other things needs to be done, and so on. The extracting the results is closely connected to drawing the conclusions, because you base your conclusion on what you have presented as results. And at the end, once you're by the end of your research, you need to reflect to what you have done in this whole process. We can show these steps in a linear way as it is done on this slide, but you need to always have in mind that this linear presentation is not the actual process, because you don't go from step to step, but at many of these steps you must return to the previous one, and the literature intervenes with many of these steps. Thank you.